Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
Not so soon. Gaming house employees speak out on government's proposed tax increase.
Lawyers sift through the call logs in the Frank Smith trial.
If a general election were held today, what percentage of voters would support the Free National Movement? The answer straight ahead.
Minister of Education Jeff Lloyd says he supports government's proposed tax hikes and he's not worried about the next election.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, just over 200 gaming house employees showed up at the British Colonial Hilton this morning for a town hall meeting seeking clarity on government's proposed tax increases for those entities. The employees, many of whom are furious with government, fear not only for their jobs but for their families. Kyle Joaquin tells us more.
Well, we heard from the gaming house operators, but today, for the first time, we got to hear from the employees and the fear of losing their jobs.
I already established a family and everything with my job and my space. How could you do that? It shows me and it tells me that you don't really care about me.
While many of them said they'd let government feel it at the polls, there were some like this woman who recommended gaming house employees make it a bit more personal.
We got to hit them where it hurts. You capitalize on the super wash. Let's go to those other wash houses. Let them see how it feels.
Just a small portion of the nearly 3,000 people who work in the web shop industry let government have it this morning. While they represent numerous entities in the gaming industry, they were on one accord. We're here to save our jobs.
Regardless of our paycheck, those tips do something. They pay ASUs, they put gas in our cars, they get our hairdo on our names too.
Bahamas Gaming Operators Association has warned that a proposed sliding scale tax could result in the loss of some 2,000 jobs. Jeanette Ramming is a human resources manager at Island Luck, which has 800 employees. Meanwhile, Alice Wims heads HR at Ultra Games, which employs 200 people. Both agreed jobs would be lost.
In my opinion and the standpoint that we are at right now, obviously it is not our intended purpose for there to be any potential job losses. But unfortunately, if things continue on the impeded trend that it's on now, we might have to look at the possibility of downsizing.
Once the taxes are enforced, we're going to have to cut back. The biggest cost in operations, as everyone knows, is labor. So we're going to have to look at our organization and make the tough decisions and sending people home.
People are focusing on this 50%, but it's more than 50%. That 50% is before we pay our gaming fees, which are millions of dollars annually. Everybody that walks in my door as a regular cashier or even security or a cleaning person, we have to pay $1,250 annually per staff member for a gaming license. And that's before you touch management licenses, $250,000 annual license, $100,000 investigation fee, $30,000 per store, $17,500 for agents, the money that we give to charity.
For this father, Ronaldo Strawn, he's not even concerned about himself, but the mouths he has to feed.
What about our families? That's plus 9 or 12,000 persons that's going to be affected. 3,000 jobs. We have people at home who are depending on us. That's another about 8 to 10,000 when you come with each entity. So come on, let's be lenient. Come on, if you take half of what I earned without giving nothing, you don't want us to survive. If you're going to make that measure cheap, you just shut us down without just taxing us into the ground.
How can we prepare for this? Not to have any money, not to have any jobs. Bama cannot hire everybody that's displaced. So therefore, what they need to do is relook this decision they make, and we need our jobs. That's all I want to say.
For our news, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
In other news, following a double shooting in Fox Hill, which left one man dead and another in critical condition, police officers returned to the historic community today to speak with concerned residents. This as family members of the murder victim struggled to come to grips with his death. Jillian Gray reports.
As officers combed the area, speaking with residents and family members, we too spoke with family members who said they can't fathom why this happened, as their family member was a good person.
He was a loving person. He was like a peacemaker. Don't like no problem, no nothing. Hard working. Always trying to, you understand? Make something better. Church going every evening, he'll go to church. And come home, he don't go out, he's not a partying person.
He gave his life to God, but he stopped all the summers. How many businesses were over there? He started fixing cars, doing everything, but a nigga said, I don't know why niggas take his life. I want to know why niggas take his life. I want to know why. This crime got stopped. Only young niggas dead every day. Why we dead every day?
Relatives of Bernard Ancestor in shock tonight following his shooting death on Cox Street Tuesday afternoon. Police say Ancestor was among a group of men sitting under a tent in front of a home in Fox Hill around 5 p.m. when a vehicle pulled up.
The occupants of that vehicle fired shots at those sitting under the tent, injuring 2 of them. One male was confirmed dead on the scene. A second has been taken to hospital and is listed in critical condition.
The victim's sister, who wished to remain anonymous, says she was at home when her brother was shot. She says she is grateful that the children who were playing in the yard at the time did not witness her brother's violent death.
The children were sitting in the front of the door, but my car was blocking them, so you couldn't see them. They were sitting on the step playing in the rainwater because it was raining. And I was sitting in the car watching them. And they had a short stay, ran inside.
The neighborhood was extremely solemn as residents still tried to come to grips with what happened.
My cousin, he ain't do nobody nothing but. He ain't do no crime, no nothing but. He changed his life young, the man, about 40-something years old, but he got plenty of children.
This latest incident, which brought the country's murder count for the year to 47, is the second killing in Fox Hill in 2 days. On Monday, 36-year-old Anthony Bryce was murdered on Step Street. Superintendent Virgil Sinatus visited the area today, speaking with concerned residents.
Just want to be able to sensitize residents that the police are here to assist, and these things do happen, but we want to bring it to a closure.
Officials from social services also joined officers on today's walkabout.
As violence continues to move, every community within New Providence, in particular this one, there's a constant presence of police officers.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
Well, the policeman who analyzed phone records linked to former Senator Frank Smith and his accuser, Barbara Hanna, was back in court today. Detective Corporal 3070 Corey Adderley spent more than 2 hours on the witness stand as the defense pointed to dozens of discrepancies between the BTC bill and call log. Jasmine Brown was in court and has the breakdown.
Adderley previously took the stand in mid-May and under questioning by defense attorney Damian Gomez QC, he testified that the parties called each other a total of 63 times during a 7-month period. Adderley was the only witness to take the stand today. Smith is on trial before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt on allegations that he demanded and received $60,000 in bribes from Barbara Hanna after helping her company win the contract to clean the critical care block of Princess Margaret Hospital. Smith has denied the charges of bribery and extortion. In court today, Gomez painstakingly sifted through Hanna's call logs, pointing out several issues, including the fact that the call log for the cell phone number attributed to Hanna had been modified on August 4, 2017. Gomez asked Adderley if he modified the call log, to which Adderley responded no. He also said he did not notice the document had been modified when he examined it to compile his statistics, and further testified that he had been surprised when Gomez pointed it out in court. During questioning, Gomez also pointed out that calls were recorded on July 19th, 20th, and 21st, 2017, when Gomez says his client was in police custody. Adderley said he was unaware that Smith was in custody on that date. Gomez also asked Adderley if Smith had his cell phone while in detention. Smith was arraigned on charges of bribery, extortion, and attempted bribery on July 21, 2017, and granted bail the same day. Gomez once again attempted to point out inconsistencies between the call log and Smith's purported cell phone bills. Former BTC internal auditor Marlon Smith has testified that the call log is a more reliable source of call records since blocks of calls are sometimes not captured in a billing cycle. During his comparison of the call logs and the bills belonging to the numbers attributed to Hanna and Smith, Gomez asserted that there appeared to be a switch over of calls, as the bills reflected it was the number attributed to Hanna that initiated calls to numbers attributed to Smith. Gomez said based on the defense's calibrations of the bills, Smith's number only made 5 calls to Hanna's number. He also asserted that Hanna's cell phone initiated 59 calls to the accused cell phone. Gomez pointed out that the call logs showed the reverse and indicated Smith's phone initiated the majority of calls. He also testified that if he had been shown the bills, he would have asked further questions, but added that he could not say which documents, the call logs, or the bills are more credible. The matter continues on Thursday. Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
And 2 months after a public domain poll suggested that the Free National Movement is losing ground with voters, a new survey released by the research and strategy firm Today shows a further erosion of confidence in the governing party. 50% of respondents say they are dissatisfied with the current government. Vonique Toot has that.
1 year and 1 month since the Minnis administration took office, a new poll shows that if a general election were held today, only 20% of respondents would vote for the Free National Movement. It represents a tremendous drop in support for the governing party, which secured 57% of the vote on Election Day.
Make some noise! Say, we coming on!
On the night of May 10th, 2017, the FNM swept into power on a wave of voter discontent towards the defeated PLP government. However, the latest public domain survey shows the tide is turning against the new government very early on in its term.
So we've been polling pretty steadily since the election, and these numbers have been trending down.
When asked which party they would vote for if the general election were held tomorrow, a mere 20% of respondents said the FNM. The PLP didn't fare any better. Only 12% of persons polled said they would vote PLP. 7% said the DNA, while 44% of respondents said they don't know who they would vote for. Public Domain President Mwale Raming says the good news for the FNM is the party still has the largest block of support. Now here's the bad news.
The bad news for them is that 44%, or almost half of the population, is saying they don't know. I don't want to say that that's a predictor, but one of the things that we've observed we've been open since 2010, and so we've been through 2 election cycles, and we've seen that in both election cycles that we've seen is that undecided voter has all voted for the opposition.
As for overall satisfaction with the current government, 50% of respondents said they are dissatisfied with the Minnis administration. 32% said they are satisfied. Meanwhile, 53% of respondents said they think the country is going in the wrong direction. 23% said the country is going in the right direction, and 24% said they're not sure.
The right direction, wrong direction question, when you get in single digits in the right direction, that really is surprising for us, because in the last administration, we didn't see single digits until year 4. So to be in single digits in very much the right direction is concerning to me.
This latest poll shows a further erosion of confidence in the FNM government. Back in April, respondents' general satisfaction in the Minnis administration stood at 44%. It now stands at 32%. Unfortunately, Raming says when results are not in their favor, politicians tend to shoot the messenger instead of heeding the warning.
If you happen to agree with the sentiments that are being expressed by the general population, we know what we're doing, we're credible and we're a valuable resource. If you don't agree with the findings, you generally tend to say, we don't know what we're doing. And that's unfortunate, because when that happens is you miss hearing what the population is trying to tell you.
With 4 years left in its term, Raming urged members of the Minnis-led government to step out of their bubble and fix the problem.
25 questions were put to 800 randomly selected persons nationwide during a 5-day period last week. The poll has a 3.5% margin of error. Reporting for our News, I'm Vonique Toot.
Minister of Education Jeffrey Lloyd threw his support behind government's budget. This comes as another FNM MP rebuked government for its proposed tax hikes. Jared Higgs has more.
You cannot threaten me about no next election. Let me just make sure you understand that. Yeah. Can't threaten me. Yeah. And I don't think you can threaten this side. We didn't come here to worry about no election.
This impassioned statement by Education Minister Jeff Lloyd came during the budget debate this morning. It follows the results of a public domain poll where only 20% of respondents stated that they would vote for the FNM if an election were held tomorrow. The poll comes at a contentious time for the FNM as it attempts to convince Bahamians that an increase in value-added tax from 7.5% to 12% is in the best interest of the country. describing the state of the country's economy as galloping towards a failed state and the nation's credit card is maxed out. Lloyd says he supports government's increased tax measures and he's willing to put his political career on the line.
Elections will take care of themselves. Mr. Speaker. Us and our children and our grandchildren have to live here. We have nowhere to go. I would rather lose an election any day than to lose my Bahamas and beautiful Bahamas. Jokes! So waste your time, not threaten me about no election.
Now, most other government members of parliament have supported the tax hike, like Lloyd, but that hasn't been the case for all FNMs. During Tuesday night's budget debate, MP for Golden Isles Vaughan Miller came out against government's planned VAT hike, telling members present that his constituents gave him clear instructions.
The majority of them were against it. They understand the economic and the financial challenges, but overwhelmingly stated that 12% is too aggressive, too soon, and advised me, slow your roll, Miller. Slow down.
Miller became the third FNM MP to oppose the planned hike in value-added tax. Centerville MP Reece Shipman has argued that a higher rate of VAT would hurt his constituents and Bahamians at large. Pine Ridge MP Frederick McAlpine also opposed the tax increase, stating that it would be disproportionately onerous on the poor. Meanwhile, Miller says the people he represents want to compromise.
They wanted to know, what about incremental increases up to 10%? The vast majority instructed me to convey these sentiments. 12% is too much, too soon. So Golden Isles cannot support the 60% VAT increase from 7.5% to 12%.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Still to come on Our News, the Ministry of Education's budget cut by $2 million. Get the collegiate community's reaction after this break.